a lot. Well, as she just said, we're Adaptricity. Thanks a lot to Jane, our first presenter. She did make it a bit easier for me to explain what exactly we do. We're, as you can see, a spin-off company of the ETH Zurich, which is basically the Technical University of Zurich, and we develop software that should help the transition towards renewable energies. And I'll give you a bit of context on what we do, but it is extremely B2B-ish, and so please just give me some indications if I start to say things that doesn't make sense to you at all. Just drop hints or, I don't know, start crying, anything really. All right then. So this here in the middle that you can see, this is basically the 60s and 80s and how we used to, how power grids used to work back then. It was quite straightforward. You had big power plants all around the country and a lot of consumers, different voltage levels. They were built as one-way roads, basically. But this transition that you can see on the side here attacking this original or more conservative way of distributing power has made it a lot more complex for them. I'll tell you a bit more about what happens. If you get things like solar power and wind energy, they're basically just coming up somewhere in your power grid. And it's quite hard for the operator to manage them because they have never done it before. They've always worked in a one-way direction, and now suddenly energy is going the other way around too. And this is basically where we come in. From our experience, this is how they feel at the moment. A lot of pressure there. There's a lot that needs to be invested in this sector. Around 400 billions in Europe till, well, that's not so far ahead anymore. And it's really, really complex to do that because there's so many new solar power, there's a lot of electromobility and so on and so forth. So, at the same time, on the other side, there are a lot of new technologies out there. Again, as Jane said, for example, smart meters. There are all other forms of smart technology that can help you make that transition happen, but it's just a lot more complex than it used to be. Okay, so what we do at Adaptricity is a very data-driven software that should help you simulate these potential future scenarios. And, well, we gather a lot of data. And this is actually where the fun starts. So I'm also going to try to do something, which would be a live demo. We'll see how that works. Okay, so this is a city in Switzerland. Not the most beautiful one, but it's okay, I guess. Okay, I now just have to find my mouse. Here we go. And what I'm going to do now is basically just get some data in there. So the pie charts that you see here, this is the electricity consumption of the people living there. And what we have here are companies such as well, mainly a lot of pharmaceutical companies such as Roche and Novartis and so on and so forth. And at the same time, what's probably most important for us for now, these are solar energy panels, as you will call them. And the reason why we do that is actually, well, it is quite straightforward, I would say. It has to do with the fact that at the moment they have about, I don't know, 10 to 15% of solar power somewhere in their grid, but these numbers all across Europe are dramatically increasing. So they have to do something about it, because it's clearly you could just dig up the ground and get in some more of these conservative, well, technologies are just great, but this is immensely expensive. So we try to give them possibilities to run these systems in a more autark way, in a sense of that you may have places that are pretty much the opposite of the city of Basel, such as places far away where you have few big power plants, and try to make them use technologies such as batteries. We work with, we probably will work with Tesla on some of these cases. And yeah, I think that's what we do, and that's about it, really. I don't really need a minute more. I just hope that that makes a bit of sense to all of you. And well, maybe the thing that we struggle at the moment the most is it makes sense for a lot of distribution grid operators to use that sort of software, but they don't really have that problem at the moment. They all know that they will have it in about 3, 4, 5 years. But well, we're here now, and we have to do business now. So if anyone has some ideas, please just let me know. Be glad to hear them.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thank you. Fantastic. Super interesting to see that. Massive round of applause. If anyone's got any questions or comments, please do feedback. This is what this is all about. This is a great opportunity. Thanks, Gilly. You're on fire tonight. Is it a question or a comment? Okay.
So, hi.
Hello.
So this software, this is feeding back how much power it's got from solar panels back into the grid at each place, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So where are you putting the valves to stop this backflow? Is there any automation coming off this level? Or is this about understanding how much you have to pay the people for feeding into the national grid, as we say, at this point?
Well, it is less about how much you have to pay and more about planning ahead. In a sense of, this data here, they're all live or they're all existing already.
So that's the amount of stored power that you can call upon in case of a surge?
In a sense, yes.
Yeah. So how do you pull that data, how do you pull that power out? Is your software about dragging that power out onto the grid because you know there's about to be a surge?
Well, it's about simulating potential future scenarios and make it easier to plan ahead. Pulling it out is something that can be rather tricky, and it's not up to software to do it. Did I understand that correctly at all or not?
No, so I was wondering, what is the use case? What is this software exactly doing?
Okay,
for the
okay.
business?
Fair enough. What we do is we help the distribution grid operators planning smarter grids because they have to get ready for the future. So our customers are all distribution grid operators. Any distribution grid operators at all? Okay, that's interesting.
There was a hand.
I'm not quite sure if he's been honest about that, but we'll see about that later on. No, but as I'm saying, it is extremely niche thing, and these are our customers, and they better like what we do.
Nice one. Quite phenomenal, though, to see energy sources mapped in that way on a city basis. That was really enjoyable. Another comment.
Could you just demonstrate, if you imagine you are a distribution grid operator, could you just take me through like a decision that would be informed using your software, as in how would I use it day to day? Just literally right now, like, okay, I can see in this area this, and therefore...
Okay. Yes, probably. It has a hard time updating it now, unfortunately. Well, but that had to happen at some point. I'm trying to make it a bit easier now. Okay, I think that, for example, I just have to find the right building. What you can do is, if you know where where the solar energy is, you can find out if there are potential problems with it. Say, for example, you have a big building in front of it, which will make it a lot easier for you to evaluate, okay, this is a good location to get my solar power on or not. You see where I'm coming from with this? Sort of evaluating where to apply smart technology into your distribution grid. But this could all get fairly technical rather fast.
I have a question. So how are you onboarding all of these supplies, all of these decentralized, solar panel sources? How are they all kind of coming on board and you accessing all of that data?
Okay, well, it mainly comes from smart meters,
Okay.
but we do integrate a lot of different data because obviously they do use different systems already, and we try to gather whatever's out there and make it as smart as possible, I'd say.
Okay, awesome. It seems like really interesting to have this kind of, and really, really timely. This is becoming like this is the future, and decentralization of energy production is incredibly exciting. I thought that map was really interesting. Are there any other questions or comments on this? Is there one over there coming your way?
Hi there. I'm not sure if this will come across as being incredibly stupid, but is there a peer-to-peer possibility of this in the future? For example, you're a manufacturer and you need energy source for a period, and you almost in old-fashioned sense barter it, or you look at through the grid suppliers, but directly peer-to-peer in a B2B sense. Do you see that as a potential future scenario?
I can see that by working together with companies in the field of, say, for example, the Internet of Things. So as these other technologies get smarter and smarter, we can gather more data in order to make this smarter. And once we're there, it can actually help a lot in order to create new business cases out of it. But we're probably not speaking about near future when it comes to things like that for now. But again, there are a lot of companies out there and a lot of potential business cases, so we're happy to hear about them.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. That was really fascinating. Can we have a massive round of applause for Adaptricity?